I don't know, trade up, trade down, trade sideways. I can just say it gets better. One of the things I tell my children when they're stressed is it's always okay. It's always okay. It's a way of letting people know that they're loved. It's always okay. And thus is the benediction. Okay, ready? Okay. Bear with me. I'm not used to. I don't have the machinations of this particular procedure of running this particular meeting memorized. So bear with me. Now I got to call to order. Call to order this meeting on April 10th, 2019 at the Garrison Board of Education regular meeting. Please rise.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have a house. The house is packed, so I want to be as efficient with the presentation as possible and the business, so we can get to all concerns that are relevant and pertinent to tonight's meeting. First up, floor is yours.
Very relevant.
Yes. You want to introduce yourself to
Yes.
the crowd?
Sue, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Sue Hutter, business administrator here. And this is a presentation of the preliminary budget for next year. Hopefully the board will adopt it tonight. And for some of you who've heard this before, and others of you it's the first time going around. So here we go. Starting off with the general support area of the budget, which is the administration. That includes Board of Ed, central administration, finance, staffing. Staff is really actually like our attorneys and stuff like that. Central services, which is facilities and special items, which would be mostly insurance and mailings and stuff like that. So our general support for this upcoming year, I'm proposing a 1.338108 budget, which would be an increase of $21,827 over last year, or this current year. And then the second part of the budget is our instruction part of the budget. This includes all the teaching and admin to support the teaching. So it also includes services for teachers and for students that are teachers. Our total instruction budget for this year would be for next year, $6,284,060, which is an increase of $155,701. And then the next part of the budget is broken down into two for pupil transportation and undistributed, which is actually employee benefits and debt service. In the transportation, there's an increase of about $40,790, which leaves us with a budget of $745,860. And the benefits and debt service portion of the budget for next year would be $2,681,904, and that's actually a decrease of $77,288, and it's mainly due to decrease in ERS and TRS amounts and health benefits. Even though the costs are going up, we have less people on the health for this upcoming year. And it's really that we've lost some retirees in the past year, so the costs have gone down a little bit. That combination gives us a decrease of $77,288. And so our overall budget that's being proposed for this upcoming year would be $11,049,932, which is an overall increase of $141,030, which is a 1.29% increase in the budget. And wherever these monies coming from, I'm expecting to use about $807,000 of appropriation of, from this year and reserves. Interest of $40,500. State aid, which went up slightly from the last presentation of only about $4,000. State aid that we're expected to get is $918,108 for a total outside of tax levy revenue of $1,765,776. And so our expected tax levy for this upcoming year would be $9,284,156. And this is just the breakdown. It's kind of hard to see, but shows where it's $807,000 is coming really actually from our own in-district funds. And the next portion is coming from outside of the district, state aid and other miscellaneous sources of income. And then the main part of our revenue would be coming from the tax levy, which is always the case for us. It would be $9,284,156. And just to, I know I've shown this slide before, but just to remind people that haven't seen it, because we are using fund balance, and even though I'm saying we're using about $800,000, I really expect to use a little bit less than that. We've been using an average of like $200,000 to $300,000 a year. If we continue along those lines without going for an override, we'll be probably around the $1.5 million in our reserves by the year 2026. So it's something that I think we need to keep an eye on. We've been okay over the last few years, but it's something that we actually need to keep an eye on because we are starting to dip into those reserves. And this is just showing our history of tax levy increases. Show you that we've actually been around the 2% except for back in 16-17 when we were at 0%.
And that was because of, sorry, is that because of the inflation rate at the CPI?
The inflation was, the CPI was at 0, so that was part of the calculation for our CPI. And this actually shows the history of the tax rate here in Phillipstown and Putt Valley for Garrison School. If you live in Phillipstown, you're currently paid $20.81 $1,000 per household, and Putt Valley would be $9.77 per household. Putt Valley is actually at a full value assessment, and Phillipstown has an equalization rate just under 0.5, and that's why you see the difference there. The estimated tax rate that I'm calculating for next year for the 1920 would be $21.24 for Phillipstown and $9.97 for Putt Valley. So the increase would be 43 cents for per thousand for Phillipstown and 20 cents per thousand for Putt Valley. And these are estimated at this point because equalization rates and assessments don't even come out until August, so they always have to be estimated at this point. So what does that mean for an average home maybe in Garrison? If you have a home that's worth, say, $100,000, your assessment would be, if you were in Putt Valley, it would be the full $100,000, and if you were in Phillipstown, it would be $328.65. So your estimated increase would be about 2.08 or 2.09%. And right now, I'm hoping that the board adopts the budget tonight and the report card that's later on this evening. We have a public hearing for the board on May 8th, but the board's, if we're already adopting the budget, it's really just a formality, the public hearing, and then the vote is May 21st. So please remember to vote. The vote counts.
So you had a couple of budget workshops, correct?
Yes, we did.
Since last we spoke?
We did. We actually had one here, and don't quote me on the dates. We had one here in the AM, and well, they were both here, and then one on Saturday. And so we had a few people show up. to both. 2 or 3 people show up to both. And had some good conversations. There was, I can't recall, if there was anything like real, riveting about the budget per se. It seemed to run off on other things, but mostly what, I guess we kind of got into capital project talks a little bit, which I know Laura's going to touch on a little bit when she goes through that. So,
Yeah.
unless anybody has any questions?
Questions?
Or
Sue, about the budget? We got dates, we got the moment.
okay,
All righty. Thank you, Sue.
thank you.
Next up, superintendent's remarks. Laura, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Garrison. Nice to see you all. I first want to say thank you to Sue. She always puts a budget together that is fiscally responsible and also allows us to grow the great programs that are happening here in our school. So thank you, Sue, for doing it again. I wanted to give a shout out to GSAF. Spring Thaw was amazing at Bear Mountain. It was supported by an array of local businesses, professionals, artists, community members, staff, and parents. Food was tasty. The music was pumping. The venue was gorgeous. The vibe was positive. I think, in my humble opinion, it might have been one of the best. I came home with salmon and Wagyu steak from Ralph Moran in Cold Spring and a cruise on the Hudson River. On the energy audit front, I know we spoke about that during our last board meeting, and so Sue, Michael, and I have reached out to a number of energy audit vendors. 3 have responded, so we're in the process of scheduling meetings and requesting proposals. The 3 that have responded are CNS Engineers, Power Group, and OLA Consulting Engineers. So we'll just keep you posted as we move forward in finding the vendor that's right for us. I wanted to give you a SECRA update. SECRA is State Environmental Quality Review Act and is part of the process for our capital project. So it's a long process, and it includes our engineers and architects and council to put together these forms that needed to be submitted throughout, like SED and other agencies. So where we are right now.
Just to clarify, this is part of the process for approving any capital project that would go into renovating the building.
Correct.
Okay, so this is the state process by which we have to go through the architect has to go through this approval in order to receive permitting and permission to spend the public's dollars in those ways.
Thank you. So upon the board's direction to move forward with our PISA project plan, that includes the conventional heating and cooling, not geothermal. We've been working closely with Tetra Tech and Council in preparing the SECRA, and the SECRA is the State Environmental Quality Review Act. This is just a quick update of where we are. Council has determined the project is a type 1, and that's due to the historic nature of our building. Tetra Tech, those are our engineers and architects, have submitted the project to SHPO, which SHPO stands for State Historic Preservation Office, and that's currently under review. Upon SHPO approval of the project, Council will send out agency notification letters, and agencies such as State Ed, to determine that the district is the lead agency. Our goal is to have the SECRA complete in time for our July 10th board meeting so that the board can proceed with a resolution to go out to the voters on September 24th. In the meantime, Tetra Tech is refining its numbers because they've changed over time. There's a possible increase because the costs have changed since the fall.
Because of various materials. issues.
Materials, labor. Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So, just want to give you a little
So
bit on
you-
that little piece of the project.
Tetra Tech will resubmit a budget
Yes,
for it?
they're going to refine the numbers.
Okay.
And then just lastly, district priorities. We are going to push our literacy presentation that we're going to do this evening to a future board meeting. We continue to meet with staff and students, and we're preparing for our community parent forums. And you'll be receiving one of these beautiful postcards designed by Debbie Earl. And they'll be on Thursday, April 25th. There are 2 to 3 p.m. and a 6 through 7 p.m. And then a Monday, May 13th through at 6 o'clock. So please come and join in the conversation and talk about, your ideas, your passion for kids, and your creative visions, which is right on here. So, and we'll be sending them out this Friday, so you can get them within the week, and hopefully you'll be there. We look forward to hearing you and seeing you. So, that's it.
Any questions for Laura? Questions for Laura? I wanted just to clarify that, because there seems to be some confusion in the public that the issue at hand regarding one of the line items for the construction project is repairing and repairing part of the heating system, okay? So the parts that we were repairing are the steam pipe infrastructure that we're going to replace and convert the current boiler into, instead of being steam driven to steam producing, to being hot water producing, so that we can also supply a cooling element for students and employees during those hot months.
In elementary and middle school.
In elementary and middle school, we'll be cooling the building for during those times in which employees and students are here. Okay? It is not replacing the boilers themselves, just the steam pipe. Okay? Just want to make that clear. Thanks for that.
Thank you.
All right. Principal's remarks. Alex?
Good evening, everyone. So just to echo some of Laura's sentiments, I don't know how GSEF, well, I do know how they obtained that image, but not flattering nonetheless. I do want to thank them, though. It was a wonderful event. We do appreciate the welcome. It was a wonderful event to support kids. And as far as I believe, Elsbeth will be our principal at some point. I have warned her younger sisters, so they are on the watch. As for the PTA, I also want to express a thank you to them as well. They were kind enough, they put together some wonderful spirit wear, which I have 2 items on the order. I do not know when they will arrive, but the deadline is by this Friday, so if you're interested, there's many more options than what's available, and I did send that out via Blackboard today as well. Just some happenings, just in one of our priorities, which to Laura's point will be speaking further at a later date. So elementary school literacy in action, we have one of our students working with Ms. Smith, using some splatting, some diagraphs, and some letter blends. So it was a nice, fun, engaging way of just getting students to break down and chunk those words. Then we have our middle school literacy in action after the ELA assessments, which I did want to say thank you. Our staff and our students were absolutely wonderful, whether it was students taking the assessment itself or their younger counterparts who were very respectful and mindful of the fact that they were in the process. So I do really appreciate that. Once the test was done, really Ms. Kirschenheiter, who's our 6, 7, 8 ELA teacher, decided to bring in 4 or 5, as we call, old school Scrabble boards with actual tiles, not words with friends, not digitized, just good old Scrabble. And the kids absolutely loved it, so it was a really nice way to just keep that level of engagement up without, and bringing some anxiety down given some of the day. So nice kind of turn for that. Just some others. So again, thank you to everyone, all the students and staff for that sport. K2 scooter race, which again, we had some raffle tickets go for that, so they are getting credit. I'm warming up. And grades 3 to 8, we'll have our dodgeball game. Shirts are in and ready. That'll be this Friday. I know it is a ways down the line, but not too far. May 21st will be the band and choral performance. And then also we will be having the Garrison School Talent Show, which we have, last time I checked, about over 20 submissions, which some are combined acts, but there's quite some interest. So thank you again to the PTA who was kind enough to help facilitate that, and we'll have some rehearsals in the near future. And before I'm going to step out of the presentation, I did want, in the past couple of presentations, again, GSEF has given some grants kindly enough to our staff and students, and we've displayed those videos, one of the 2nd grade sustainable classroom, the handheld drums, as well as the guitars in music with Mr. Feig and Ms. Giuliano. So now I have the video, the latest installment. It's on an every 2 or 3 week release. They're setting quite a precedent. So this was with Mr. Young doing the makerspace little bits, and I'll let the, and again, really focus on the students. So.
Amazingly consistent.
I'm Coulter Young, and I'm the art teacher here at Garrison, with kindergarten through 8th grade. came up with was that a little bit fits in perfectly with the STEAM movement, which is science, technology, engineering, art, and math. The little bits are electronic building blocks that go together with magnets.
I'm Sophia Wall, and I'm in 8th grade. Hi, I'm Jula Riley, and I'm in 8th grade. And this is our Little Bits project. Little Bits is really cool because you have lots of different pieces, but you can make so many different creations out of it. Like there's no limit.
There are motors that go 360. There are servos that do a 180.
Hello, I'm Jasmine Bowles and I'm in the 5th grade. We were presented with the challenge of making a color wheel out of little bits that spins. So then I thought, why not make a Ferris wheel at the carnival and have a color wheel? I connected the power source to a slide dimmer where you can control the speed of the motor. And here's the motor rotating where you can control which way the motor moves.
Hello, my name is Rock Westfall, and I'm in 5th grade. I had an arcade idea, and I thought it would be cool if I could have Marshmallow Man, so you can have this spin around and you try and throw it from 5 feet away to try and get it through the small holes while this thing is spinning. It's using technology instead of having a piece of paper that you draw on.
Hold your breath. Make a wish. Count to 3. Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination. Say hello, and you'll see into your imagination. We'll be with us, traveling in the world of my creation. What we'll see will define explanation. No life I know to compare with pure imagination. Living there you'll be free if you truly wish to be.
This is the art of the future because it mixes technology and art.
This inspired me by being able to think outside the box because with little bits you can really do anything you want. It's amazing.
Thank you, GSEF!
And I will be remiss too. Thank you once again, and Miss Whelan, who again has done the wonderful videography for all of these. So again, thank you to her as well, and that's all.
Comments for Alex or questions for Alex? You might all have. Board members? One of the things that I spotted there that warms my heart, sentimental creature that I am, is intergenerational learning. I saw some adults with some middle school students, with some kindergarten first graders, and that is one of the best ways to teach and one of the best ways to learn is intergenerational learning. And any opportunity that I can see that happening within a school setting, I know that there's learning going on. So I just wanted to say that that's a great opportunity to make what we do here visible to each other.
And actually, to your point, it happens, I think, more times than we realize. To your point, I believe it was yesterday, I stepped into one of the 3rd grade classrooms, and Miss Coons had taken her family and consumer sciences class of 7th graders down to facilitate some quiz shows. And then today I saw them down in the kindergarten doing some similar activities too. So to your point, I think that happens. That's a nice thing of having a building like our own, and our colleagues really embrace that. So.
Right. It's also one of those ways that we can, utilize our graduates to fold them into that kind of moment. So I just want to put that out there for those who want to brainstorm future initiatives. That I'm fond of that. So, okay, you ready to move on? Thank you. Consent agenda, correct? Beth, am I on it? Okay, so I can make a motion here.
So moved. Wait, what about the treasurer's that just says, no,
No, we're done.
sorry, we did all that.
We gotta revise.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna have my card.
Yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah.
that's not it.
Okay.
Forgot,
Okay, so, we gotta make a motion, right? We adopt the resolution to adopt the consent agenda, items B through, we have a long one. B through J. Okay? So, I will begin with the motion. Can I need a second?
Second.
Okay, so let me read on, all right? You ready?
We're ready.
Okay. So how do I do that? All right. B through J. Garrison Board moves to accept the minutes of the March 20th and April 4th meetings. Item B, Garrison, of the Garrison Board of Education regular meetings. Item C, the board moves to adopt the CSE recommendations of the, to approve the CSE recommendations. And item D, the board accepts the retirement of the teacher aide with regret, the resignation of the person in retirement of Priscilla March, teacher aide. You want to pause here?
Yes, we're very sad to see Priscilla. I believe she's been here for 20 years. I'm not sure exactly, but she's been working recently with, or over the past few years, in kindergarten rooms and supporting kids, caring for kids, supporting the teacher in the classroom, and I think she's a great loss. It's going to be very hard to fill her shoes. So we're sad to see her, but we're also excited about her journey. She's already made plans, and she's kind of living the dream right now. So we're excited for her too.
Okay, thank you. Item E, the board accepts the resignation of Rose Trembles from the position of foreign language teacher effective May 10, 2019. Item F, the board accepts the appointment of the Currents layout designer, approve the appointment of Jennifer Sandlin to the position of the Currents layout designer at the rate of $150 per 4-page issue and $25 for each additional page thereafter for the 2018-2019 school year. Is this retroactive?
We're working with her now
Okay,
in preparation for the budget.
gotcha. Okay. Item G, board approves the appointment of Brianna Garcia and Kelsey Sullivan as substitute teachers for the 2018-2019 school year at the rate of $100 per day. Item H, the board approves the increase in the hourly pay rate to $13.35 for Lillian Moser, school monitor, effective January 17th, 2019. Can we go visit that on the return, please? Item I, approve the voting machine agreement and release of liability with Putnam County for the May 21st, 2019 budget vote and election. And item J, the board approves the 2018-19 contract for health and welfare service with White Plains City School District for one student at a total cost of $1,076.78. And item H, is that right? Are we done? That's it. What is that then? Oh. I got it.
Hey, James, just one question about that. With respect to the hourly pay rate for the school monitor, I thought that New York State now has a $15 an hour minimum wage.
Can you refresh our memory about what is a school monitor and what a school monitor does?
Yes, monitors recess and cafeteria, and we also have a bus monitor as well. So travels with students to BOCES, any student that is in need of a monitor and a driver.
Okay. And to David's point regarding minimum
Yes,
wage
New
and the
York
application of this and...
New York City.
What's that?
New York City. I think that's New York City,
Not New York State.
not New York State.
Okay. So you're staying where you are. Okay? Don't expect a raise. You know how you operate. Okay? So we got it so moved. We have any questions about the agenda?
The consent.
Or the consent agenda?
It's just very hard to hear you back here.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Is there any opportunity to speak into the microphone?
Check, check. Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want me to go through the consent agenda again? Okay. I'm here all night, everybody. Okay.
And let us know again if you can't hear.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I know. Okay, any questions for Laura? About the consent agenda? Myself? No? Okay, we're good then. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Abstains? And onward it passes. Discussion items. 1. Review the committee minutes. In this case, it would be the Environmental Education Committee. Does anyone from the Environmental Education Committee have anything to offer as far as illumination of the minutes?
I did not attend that meeting.
So as we had discussed,
Alex, thank you.
no problem. Potential programs, outlining programs for 2019-20 that would be in supplement to what we already have in place. Address the curriculum roadmap, which we've discussed as well. The Youth Climate Summit we discussed as well, and extending the invitation or re-extending the invitation to neighboring school districts, Beacon and Newburgh, as well as to Manitou. And then we discussed forest. We actually will begin our Forest Fridays April 26th, and we already have at least 4 grades, I believe, signed up for either the morning and or afternoon, so we have at least 3 that are planned for at least before the school year ends. So.
Okay, that's good. Okay, action items. This is one to adopt the proposed 2019-20 budget and property tax report card, okay? The Board of Education resolves to adopt the proposed 2019-20 budget for the Garrison Union Free School District in the amount of $11,049,932 to be presented for voter consideration at the annual meeting on May 21st, 2019, and the 2019-20 property tax report card as presented.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Abstentions? And it passes. Item B, approve appointment of a long-term substitute teacher. Whereas the district is in need of a Spanish teacher to fill a long-term leave of absence, and whereas Jennifer Chagoya, you get it?
Correct.
Chagoya is the most qualified candidate for such position, and whereas, due to the fact that the initial substitute pay set forth in the current board policy is not sufficient, therefore, the Board of Education of the Garrison Union Free School District approves the appointment and employment of Jennifer Chagoya effective April 4th, 2019, and ending no later than June 30th, 2019, as a long-term substitute Spanish teacher. Ms. Chagoya will be paid at the rate of $150 per day from the first day of employment for the first 40 days, amending the initial payment amount set forth in Policy 6221, long-term teacher substitutes, for Ms. Chagoya's appointment as a long-term substitute only. Commencing on the 41st day of her long-term substitute appointment, she shall be paid 1/200th of BA Step 1.
So moved.
Second.
Pause. Anything you want to tell us about our long-term substitute here?
We're very excited that she's come on board. She comes with 8 years of classroom experience teaching Spanish. Her last 6 years have been teaching Spanish in 7th and 8th grade in Highland Falls. She comes highly recommended.
Can you just repeat that
I'm
for
sorry.
folks that
We're
are-
very excited that Jennifer Chagoya is with us. She comes with 8 years of classroom experience. The last 6 years, she's been in Highland Falls teaching 7th and 8th graders Spanish. I was in her classroom today. She's working on just getting to know students. She's speaking the language in almost an immersion type style, and setting sort of the routines for the next 2.5 months. So I think she's off to a good start, and we'll keep checking in on her, see if she needs anything.
Great. Okay. Is that better? Is that better? A little bit better? Not better. Can you move that mic towards Laura, perhaps?
Yeah.
Can you give us a line here? Thank you, Captain.
There are some seats up here if anyone wants to go up.
Closer.
You want it in you?
Right at it. He wants it all about it.
She's gotta be there. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Abstention? Passes. Item C, approve the cooperative bidding blanket resolution. Be resolved in this Board of Education, Garrison Union Free School District adopts the attached resolution to participate with other school districts of the Putnam, Northern Westchester, BOCES in the joint bidding for commodities and services for the 2019-20 school year.
So moved.
Seconded.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, joint bidding is what?
Yes. Sue, is this a new from PNW?
It's, yes, I would say, it's the first year they didn't want to charge us for it, so basically, we can just piggyback on joint services or purchases, so I feel like we should do it. If we can get a better price, by all means, let's do it.
Right, so this means that what we're doing is entering into cooperative purchasing, right?
Well, we've always done, we've done it with other BOCES, Putnam, Northern Westchester, I think in the past, charged us a little bit, so I think this is new this year where they're not charging us, but we're always jumping on cooperative bidding when we can, when it's not going to cost us anything, because sometimes it benefits us and other times we can get better pricing going out for our own. So, gives us an option.
Okay, great, thank you so much.
Welcome.
I'm going to aim to project a little bit, okay, a little better. Okay, so it is time for that moment in the agenda called public comment. So let's frame this a little bit. I have a statement to read. Make sure we have two pertinent policies that we want our public comment to follow. These are policies that are long-standing since 2001, I want to say. Yeah, roughly. And we usually don't need to lay out these policies because there's usually not a lot of folks here. But I wanted to lay them out so that everyone's rather clear about the expectations of public comment. Okay? The Board of Ed welcomes district residents, parents, students, and other people to our meeting. All right? Community involvement at board meetings is encouraged so that we can better understand your views. However, public comment is not the place or time to air individual grievances or raise concerns about a particular staff member or student. Underscore both those points. Please be aware that individual student information or particular personnel issues will not be discussed by this board during public session. We reserve that for executive session. Okay, and we have executive session for a reason. And that's one of the reasons. Okay. Statements are restricted to a maximum of 3 minutes, and speakers will be notified by the board president when their time has expired. Okay? We just don't want people to run on and on, filibustering the evening. Okay? So we have that, that's within our parameters. Although we are providing you the forum to speak, we want to be clear that your statements may or may not reflect the opinions of the board. And our failure to respond does not indicate agreement with your statements, nor does it imply disagreement. It just implies non-responsiveness. Okay? If someone chooses to speak about an individual, you do so at your own risk, and any consequences from such speech will be you individually. That's important. Making false statements may be defamatory and may result in legal liability for the speaker. We encourage all speakers to keep in mind that false statements may be defamatory and result in individual liability, obviously. Anyone who fails to follow these rules, 3 minutes, comments about individual staff or students, will be asked to stop, and if they refuse, will be asked to leave. If such behavior persists, the board reserves the right to shut down public comment and even the meeting in general. We always have that right. it's a public meeting, but it is the board's meeting. And it's true when you go to a town board meeting with Richard Shea, a super, it's their meeting and you're welcome to participate in it. It's just an important thing to know, okay? Last, in the interest of time, we would ask that your comments be consolidated and that comments not be repeated. That's wishful thinking. Note that the board generally will not respond to comments made while the meeting is in public session. So, with that, I open the floor to anyone who would like to come to the mic, and we strongly encourage you to speak your mind, but also try to follow the policies. If you wander away from the policy, I will correct you. I will make sure that you know that you're wandering away from the policy. If you wander too far away, I might say, I think we've heard enough from you. But, disclaimers are what they are. They're disclaimers. At the same time, we do not encourage silence. We just encourage civility, and we encourage you to follow the rules, and you're welcome to have at it. We only have you signing in because, Beth, do you want to say that one?
It just helps you when I'm putting your name in the minutes that I've spelled your name properly.
Yes, we keep it in the minutes. It's just what we do. It's the thing we do. Sarah Tormey.
I would love to kick this off after that lovely introduction. I'm Sarah Tormey. I'm the current president of GSAF. We've heard about our spring thaw this past weekend. It was a great coming together of the Garrison community to celebrate our school and our commitment to the students here and what the teachers do here. We raised over $31,800 on Saturday night. Thank you, all of you. You made it possible. For the K through 12 students in the Garrison district. We're ready to put that money to good work. Our next grant deadline is May 1st. Please get your grants in. If you need an extension due to waiting on a teaching assignment of any sort, we're really flexible. We can work with you. So please send us your ideas, send us your thoughts. We're really excited to hear from you. And if you have any questions, you can ask Karen Nelson. She's setting up grants. So thank you again, everyone, and to all the staff who came out and supported us, who donated. We really appreciated having you there and supporting us. So thank you. One question as a parent, real quick.
Put your parent hat on, please.
Parent hat. Yeah, I didn't bring an extra hat. To clarify on the budget vote, May 21st, and we will not be voting on the PISA project.
Oh, no.
Okay, I hadn't heard that in the past, so it's going to be bumped to September.
Correct.
Potentially.
No,
Okay.
What will be on the ballot, though, is the library.
Yes.
As well, which,
Okay.
I know that they have their own little circuit going out there talking about that. But
Okay.
Okay, let's just because you brought it up, Sue, and let me restate and be as clear as possible, because I know Ray would want me to do this. That the appearance of the library's vote or proposition is not an endorsement or a non-endorsement by the board or by the school district. It is simply the place in which it appears so that people can vote. I just want to be really clear on that, okay? We are not favoring, nor are we disfavoring. We're simply providing the space so that the public will have an opportunity to vote. Okay? Just to be clear on that. Next up.
Hello, my name is Alejandra Wad. I'm here with my husband Rob. We have two kids in the school. Our daughter Olivia in 5th grade and our son Elias in 4th grade. We were here today to share our concerns with one of our kids' teachers. I was told that it is against school board policy to share specific concerns about a staff member, so I will not be able to share any details and I will keep it very simple. Last night we had a meeting with Laura and with Mr. Levine to discuss some of those issues. My hope is that the meeting last night was only the first step into finding a real solution for a problem that's been ongoing and lately escalating. I believe many parents are here tonight for the very same reason. I would like to add that I'm very grateful to the tenure process that protects many wonderful teachers that are giving their best to our children. However, I also feel we cannot tolerate teachers that are ineffective or unfit to teach and abusing that protection and not doing their job. Our kids are hungry for learning, for being challenged, and I feel they deserve better. Thank you.
Is it possible to turn the light sound up?
That's okay, I talk really loud. Hi, my name is Shala Janetta. I'm a parent of 2 children here in Garrison Schools. And I'm also a neighboring resident to the school, just across the street. James, I just want to start off with what you started this whole meeting off with today, with feeling the love. That really stuck to me because, normally we do really feel the love here. It's a great school, but occasionally, sometimes we don't feel the love. Sometimes we feel like no one's on our side. Sometimes we feel frustrated, and we feel when something's wrong, and we know it's wrong, we feel like it's simple. We should all know this. We should know that it's wrong. And it's frustrating to us, not only to us, but also our children. And I just want to know, how can we fix that? Is there a protocol that we should be following, that there's a rule, there's somewhere we can just follow the rules, that, this is the way to do things, so that we're not kind of tied around, we want to know the answers. We want to know what we can do. We want to know what's right. We know what's right, but we want to know what we can do to help that right happen, And it's frustrating. So I'm here for 2 reasons. The first reason is to back up my friend Alejandra and other parents who have gone through this in the past and in the present, and who will go through this in the future because of this thing happening. And their voices need to be heard. They have the right to say what they've gone through, and someone should let them know that they have that right and listen to them, because that's only fair. Secondly, I'm here because I don't know why I'm here for this, because I feel like it's a very important issue, but I know that you received a letter that the neighboring community has put together about the Garrison Gulf Station that's next door to our school. They are planning to expand into a used car dealership. Even if they plan to have 5 cars or 10 cars, they're already doing things illegally there. It's going to add more traffic to our area, and it's right next to the main entrance of our school. And on top of that, they are proposing to put a canopy in that is going to go into the ground to water level. And in the past, in 2002, they already had an oil contamination, which contaminated the water and affected certain homes in the area. So there's a chance that that water could be contaminated again, and it could affect our school. This is very important, and this is actually in the process of possibly getting approved by the town board. I'm asking our school to support us in fighting this, and to making sure that if they're going to do this, they're going to do it the right way, and they're going to monitor the wells to make sure our children are not going to be affected. Thank you.
Shala, I have just two questions.
Hold for a minute. I just want to make sure we follow certain rules here. If you, during public comment, during board comment, if you want to solicit the question, that way we don't get into a back and forth with particular speakers. Does that make sense to you, David?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't mean to silence you, but it does give me pleasure. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next up.
Can I add something to that? Or is this
You
totally
feel you are totally, if you are a member of the public, you're welcome to come and speak your mind about whatever it is, so long as it follows the policies of the district.
Just very briefly, I wanted to point out we're neighbors, and so we're very invested in what's going on here at the Gulf Station. But in the initial application, they also lied and said that they were not within a certain distance from it's actually two schools, this school and St. Philip's. So I just wanted to sort of put that out there as that's the context that they're entering into this. I mean, that's been rectified, I think, because it was pointed out by people in the community, but that's, I think, an important part of the context that's going on in terms of their plans.
Thank you so much. Next up.
I can just add something to what Shala said in her second point, which is, so tell me if I'm out of bounds. I want to do the right thing by the rules here.
Yeah, go for it.
We live in Garrison. I have a child in the school too, and we live on Route 9. And there was somebody there's been a building for sale across the street for a couple of years, and we found out that it was contracted to be sold to someone who wanted to turn it into a used car dealership as well. And a local attorney got involved. He got me involved and somebody else because we're right across the street from Graymore, where this little building was, just south of the Appalachia Market and the Shell station. We went to a meeting or two and got it turned around, and they had to move out. So I can help either the board or you with who the person was and the lawyers and how they went down, if that's of any help to anyone. Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
All right.
Used car dealerships, not what I expected to happen tonight. Yeah. I saw a hand in the back. Trish, you here?
Hello,
Trish,
everyone.
Can you sign in?
There's so many of us, a plethora.
One board member recommended, and it's traditional for you to announce your name just so we know who you are,
Yes.
where you live, and all that.
My kids, all that, yeah. Hello, I am Tricia Mulligan. I have two children, 6th grade and 8th grade here. And I sent all of you an email today about, there's a problem of, in the middle school, there's a social, emotional, and I dare say academic problem. I wanted my son, my 8th grader, to come here today because he summed it up so well for me, but he wouldn't come. My notes are in my purse. He told me it's sort of Lord of the Fly-ish, where there's groups forming in the middle school, power groups. And it's mostly with the boys, but the girls are involved too. And so, can you hear me?
Yes. Loud and clear.
Oh, good. Lord.
3 minutes.
So anyway, so what's happening is there's power things going on, right? And so my son's words were, there's no leadership at the top. You have a few teachers who have the strength and leadership to control the class. Substitutes, they're running all over. And there's nobody in a leadership position to control that and to bring them together. And so, I mean, he said that Miss DiDiego's was, Laura, when you come in, you help. But there's just no...
Let's try to refrain from speaking about any individual.
I was doing, complimentary there.
Even so,
Okay,
quite frankly,
I
even
got
so, let's not sing anyone's praises if we're...
Okay, no praises. Okay, so anyway, so there's a problem of leadership. The children are not controlled, and they don't talk to each other. And the thing that I sent all of you was a solution with someone to call immediately in this restorative justice, which I think would be a good first step. But we also need some more strength somehow where these kids understand that they're not just running amok. And I don't think that's happening. That's a problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
Incidentally, Ms. Mulligan, I received your email.
Uh-huh. Thank you.
That was an invitation to speak more, but it's not. Anybody else? Anyone else? Get up to the mic. Going once. Okay. I just want to make sure you're encouraged. I want you to know that policy is policy for a reason. Language is language for a reason. And but I just want to communicate as transparently as possible that we do encourage you, above all things, not to remain silent. Okay? Board comment. David?
Yeah, I just had two questions arising from Shala's, So I just had two questions arising from what Shala had to say. The first one is, did you feel that you had a problem in conveying your concern about your child to the school? I mean,
Yes. I feel like I don't know the proper. I feel like the normal way of doing things, and when you start your complaining, I feel like I don't have the complete support that I feel that I need. And
did you try and express your concerns to the administration?
Well, currently no, because I'm not in that position at the moment. In the past, I have. I had to jump in myself and just deal with it myself, and I had personally turned things around by jumping into the situation. But currently, I'm not there yet. I will be there again next year.
David, I would just want to encourage you not to ask questions, but if you have comments, I mean, you can maybe, if you have a clarifying question.
I think it's sort of hanging there, because I have another question. Okay. But this question is really to Laura and to Mr. Levine. The environmental issue which you raised, I know nothing about it. Have you guys investigated that?
I sent you an email with the attachment for the letter.
I missed that. So you're comfortable with what the Gulf Station is doing?
No, it's a board decision whether they're going to support as a board, as a district. So I shared the letter, shared the email, and that's a decision that we may want to put on the next agenda to discuss and see. You can also support it individually as a community member as well.
Okay.
So basically the board, at my own discretion, I just want to say that there's one of our neighbors that we share a boundary with is applying for a particular renovation, and the community has asked us to attend to those details and make sure that our mutual interests are represented in whatever goes on at that particular business. Okay? Just to clarify.
Could you say that again? I'm sorry.
One of our neighbors, Gulf Station, has submitted an application for a particular project.
Okay.
Within that project, there seems to be a scope or change of business, slightly different modulation. I am not certain of that. I'm just saying it's seeming so. Okay. And then the community has asked us to weigh in on that and make sure that we are monitoring how that might impact this school.
Okay, but if there are allegations here of environmental problems, that we would, I presume, need to have some environmental expert, someone come in and render a judgment, which we're not capable of rendering, about whether what Shala is saying is in fact a problem.
I think what they're asking for us is to represent our viewpoint to the town board.
Yeah, but my point is, I don't have a viewpoint until I hear from an environmental
Rectamundo.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So then the
would you like
question
to put that on a future
is there
agenda?
any agenda to try and find an environmental expert to make a judgment about what she's alleging?
We need a directive from the board. We would need to discuss it and say, yes, we would like to take this on. Please.
I see.
Can we move this forward as possibly in the agenda item where we discuss this sooner than later? Because it seems particularly time sensitive.
Yeah, so we can
Okay.
put it
Sooner rather than later, right?
We can put it on as a discussion item.
Yeah.
Lori might send out the information you gave us again.
Yeah, I'll send it out again.
For those that didn't see it.
Shala, do you have any idea where they are in the application process of when it's going to go before the town board again?
Yes, I believe they have another meeting. It's not a public hearing yet, but on the 18th.
Of April?
Yes.
That's 8 days from now.
Yes, it is. They've already had 2 meetings already.
Is it possible that this could be confirmed on the 18th?
No, that there's other people, especially our school, that has, some concerns about it. That's all.
I think this might be, I think it's something we could discuss. We're all citizens, okay? So we don't need the board meeting as a forum to discuss this. We can certainly discuss this after meeting, or we could perhaps host perhaps host a Q&A on it, I don't know, in the near future. But as citizens of this district, we have a right to ask or inquire about any particular permitting process that is going forward on any development. And I strongly recommend, if you're interested, that you seek that information through the town board. And the school would have to get counsel on how it should respond as a collective. In other words, as individual members, we can go to the town and say, what's the situation here? It's right next to schools. The school's response would require us to get proper information and counsel to speak as a collective.
All right, well, I was advised, after giving Lori the letter, with signatures of our community, should present this.
Okay, great.
We have the history here from last time.
Board comments?
I am something.
Go for it.
So, Shella, I want to thank you for your letter, your very detailed letter that you submitted to us that has a history of what occurred in the past there, a description of field work that you and your neighbors did to find materials that are used in auto repair that were thrown in the creek. So I share your concerns. I'm concerned about the water table, the creek, the natural environment.
It's actually wetlands.
Yeah. So I just want to be on the record that I'm very concerned.
Diane? Board?
Just to say thank you for everybody who came out, whether you spoke or not.
There's more people that want to speak.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We asked.
Yeah.
Okay, or is it too late? No, it's not too late.
It's up to me.
Oh.
Whether it's late or not too late. I'll permit it. Be very brief and remind yourself of the particular concerns at hand and the policies. I like this power. Pretty good. Discretion, board president discretion.
I would just like to mention or thank.
Your name?
Oh, sorry. My name is Ksenia Katalif. I have 3 children at the Garrison School, which I am very honored to be a part of. I absolutely love the school and I love being part of this incredible community. I feel very blessed. And last night we had a meeting, which I'm extremely grateful for. And I just wanted to thank the administration for their support, for letting us parents speak and be heard. It was extremely comforting because I personally don't like speaking here into a microphone. I much rather have it at home base. And I would really hope that this sort of instills a tradition and we can keep building on this and keep doing this at the school to keep things transparent. Concerns about teachers or things happening in the middle school. If we could, they don't have to be negative meetings. Yesterday was a little bit of a sticky subject, but it was very civil. It ended peacefully, and I just think it's wonderful for parents to support each other and everybody to hear. And if we could sort of, I know we have our open houses in the beginning of the year, and we never follow through, and then somehow things fall through the cracks, and then by this time certain things have unraveled and parents are like, well, where was this? This was promised at the beginning, this didn't happen. Some teachers are great at communicating to parents, some aren't. Some don't write those emails and say, hey, this is what we're doing, or your child has a problem. And if we could maybe have an open house in the middle of the year as well to just regroup. It doesn't have to be about complaints, or it could be the teacher reaching out saying, okay, so this was successful, this was not, I think it would be a tremendous help to all of us. Middle school wouldn't feel like this, black void where I don't get letters home, I don't hear about things, I feel completely disconnected. And so I just really want to encourage that. I think we're all, normal, calm people. We don't get too emotional. If we have the opportunity to regroup every so often, it'll just make our community and school much stronger.
Thank you for speaking.
Thank you.
Sensing that, you know, I could tell. Okay, anyone else?
I'd like to say one thing about the kids.
The kids,
Really?
remember those guys?
No, it was really, can you hear me back there? It was really nice to see all the high honors in both schools and in ours, in all the various ones. That was a good thing. I'd like to get back to the kids.
Okay, so I've been on the board for how many long? 5 years? 5 years. And whenever disagreements become, let's say, points of concern or crisis or inflection, it gives us an opportunity to consider how good we can get as a district. And how good can we get? Who's that up to, right? So it's up to the board to get good. And one way the board can get good is to plan better and be better organized. It's up to the administration to get good in the sense of planning and organizing, allowing for fora for people to be heard and for people to connect. It's up to the students to get good and the parents to get good, to make sure that work is being done, make sure that respect is being given, make sure that their voices are being heard. And it's up to the teachers as well to get good at what they do, allowing for community to bond, allowing for communication to happen. But it all comes down to how we plan. It all comes down to how we intend to be here together. How do we intend to be here together? Do we intend to be together at points of crisis or points of conflict? Or do we tend to be here together to make each other better? And sometimes we forget that. And I wanted to remind us that that is how we need to function, strategically and tactically, as an organized being with people that are responsible for executing specific roles. And when we reach these moments, I feel like we didn't intend and plan accordingly. And then when we reach these moments, I think this is an opportunity to intend to plan to meet the expectations of this district, so that we can provide for the quality of the education that our students receive and the quality of the profession that we help and assist and support our professionals to exist in. And I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I don't think that's mutually exclusive. In fact, I think that this entire industry, education, which I've been involved in my entire life, its whole credibility is based on the quality of the experience. That's it. And we're all responsible for that. We're all responsible for that. We're all responsible for teaching kids to read. We're all responsible for how they act. And including the kids. And that's all I wanted to say. This is an opportunity for us to focus on how we plan intentionally to build a better school. And that's it. That's what we're here to do. We have to do our jobs. Administration has to do their jobs. Teachers have to do their jobs. Parents have to do their jobs. And the kids have to do their jobs. And if we focus on that opportunity, I do believe naively, but hopefully, that we can obtain that. And that's the only way we get credibility in the eyes of the public and this country is by the quality of the education that we deliver and provide and support at home and in the house. Anyone want to make a motion to adjourn?
So many.
Second.
We're out of here. To the executive session to talk about stuff.
So you have